Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. As you guys know, it greatly helps the channel. So try to keep it quick today. A lot of news has happened. GDP came out negative in the first quarter, mostly driven by imports. Was really as people were front running the tariffs, which is normal. Job report came better than expected. Is it real? Is it not real? Doesn't really matter. It matters what the market thinks is real, not what I think. And that is valid for any administration, by the way. Mineral deal was signed, and we've had quite the softening of China towards the US. So basically, the US, which had exempted about 25% of its imports from the tariffs. Now China has done about the same. Also, they showed interest in discussing about the concerns on the fentanyl, and they are willing and they're looking to send the top trade negotiator to come and meet with Trump's team. So, of course, this is called diplomacy. But when it's Trump, it's called caving. So this is the disgusting part of the media. This is why the media has so little views anymore and so few ratings, and will get worse and worse because it's the same actions, but for one is caving and cowering in fear. On the other side is diplomacy, despite the fact that the country on the other side is already lost in a month of tariffs, already lost between 5 and 10 million manufacturing jobs. That's the level of, by the way, 10 million is like the size of Portugal. So just for you to have an idea. Also, the European Union has offered, the first offer made was they would buy 50 billion extra in goods from the US. So the US and the European Union have an interesting dynamic. So the US has $200 billion in deficit, and in terms of goods, but it has $100 billion in surplus in terms of services. So net, there's $100 billion deficit for the US. And the European Union just offered basically to reduce half of it as a first offer, which is quite telling. I think most of the market didn't pay much attention to this, but it's quite amazing, the first offer and the level of the first offer. Once again, I thought, if I listen to CNBC and the media in general, I thought that the US was in a terrible position, about to get completely ragdolled by everybody. And here we stand. Now, when it comes to risk assets, as I've mentioned before, it's all about liquidity and easing of financial conditions. Liquidity has exploded in the first quarter, but it has a lag. You only see it a little bit later. The same thing that when liquidity was contracting in the fourth quarter of 2024, you only see it in the first quarter of 2025. This is why now we're starting to get bad news and we sell off for a few hours and we go back up. Now I have to say this because I already know how YouTube is. Does that mean that we cannot have a sell-off ever again? No. That means the trend is up over the next few weeks/months. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be plus 5% a day. Nobody's saying any of that. You're going to have corrections, but they will, in nature, be short-lived. Now, one thing that I don't like, that I'm seeing, is the bonds are selling off again. And the yields are spiking. Remember, this is tightening of financial conditions. Now, it's a bit of an interesting dynamic because the dollar is falling, but it's kind of stabilizing. But basically, so dollar down increases liquidity and eases financial conditions. Yields up makes it harder. So basically, we have the two biggest factors in opposite directions at the moment. But you need to understand that indeed, if financial conditions tighten over, let's say, April and May, then you're probably going to see a sell-off around July, August. That's what it means. Am I predicting it? It's very hard to say at the moment because this has to be a continued pressure or continued The same way that in the first quarter we had continued easing of financial conditions, we have to have continued tightening in this case for us to have a correction of that level. So we need to wait and see. ISM came out better than expected at close to 49. Not great because not above 50, but not as bad taking into account what we're seeing. I think we're going to see a deal soon enough between the US and India, South Korea, Japan, take your pick. And I do think we're going to see some substantial deals coming very, very soon. Canadians elected the Liberals. There's talks about Alberta wanting to secede. It's basically leave Canada and potentially join the US. I think there was a bill that was passed that allows for it. Now, is it easily done? Will Canada allow it? It's their job to, can they allow it or disallow it? I have no idea. It's not my specialty. If we have Canadians in the chat or in the comment section, please educate me because I have no idea about it. I just find it interesting. Because apparently I thought that the US was all crumbling apart, but yet it's parts of Canada that wants to leave Canada. But I thought Canada was doing great. So you see, you're getting, now I'm joking a bit. But what I'm trying to say is, don't listen to the media or to me. Check the results. Check what's happening. So if Europe is so much stronger, why are they conceding things to the US? And by the way, they said again, the German Prime Minister, the German Minister of Finance once again said, we want to go 0 for 0 in tariffs. Oh, so you had tariffs. But I thought tariffs were the worst thing on the planet. Why do you have them? It's very confusing, right? It makes very little sense. If it's so bad, why do you have it? And why did you fight to keep them? Obviously, we know the answer to these things. Now, crypto is recovering. I think Ethereum and the likes will need some help from a few central banks, but you do see the liquidity improving. I think once we see a very big deal, a good deal, I think we are up for the races. And all those reports about the ratings and all about the approval ratings and all this kind of stuff, all of this will go away once some of these things will get sorted out, particularly when the tax bill goes through and the deregulation efforts will happen. The point being, as I've mentioned here a while, before that Monday, I said Monday to Wednesday, you should see the bottom in stocks and crypto. We saw it at that time, not this week, a few weeks ago. And I thought we're going to start ramping up because liquidity conditions were going up. But you see, that's boring. People want the big story and the correlation between the price of lumber and the price of corn in 1857. Now it's correlated with this to make this go up, and then the moon was in this position, and etc. etc. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's what people want to hear. In all reality, is global M2 is going up. Financial conditions eased up dramatically in Q1. That is seen a couple of months later. It's what we're seeing right now. And it is what it is. So the Fed's going to be meeting next week. Look, this has been a huge rally. I mean, at some point, we're going to hit the breather. Now, maybe Powell will say something to derail 5% the market, so 4 or 3%. Who knows what he's going to say? It's a possibility that you have that the market will use any excuse to kind of blow off some steam. I don't know. We have to wait and see. PCE came out, which is the Fed's inflation number, at 2.3%, so very, very close to the 2%. I think CPI will come in the middle of, when the report comes middle of May. I think CPI will probably come, if not at 2, something like 2.1, so very, very close to the target. And then it's going to look very ridiculous. Why would the Fed be not cutting rates when all the other central banks are doing it? And then the only answer you can have then, it's now your mask has fallen, definitely, and you're basically completely political. Wait and see. Next week will tell us a lot. Probably they will stop fully the QT program. So that's going to be another thing out the window. there's and then we need that bond market to stabilize for for appropriate runs in the market and risk assets. You don't want that collateral, the value of that collateral, to drop too much. In any case, we may look back in history and say, hey, Bitcoin had a 30% correction in a bull market, just like 2013, just like 2017, just like 2021. And we all lost our pants. We all threw the biggest tantrum of all time. Maybe in a year's time we're looking back and saying, oh, you remember that tariff stuff? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was we had like a crazy couple of weeks, right? Yeah, but things sorted out. Of course they sorted out. We all knew it's going to sort out. It was so obvious, right? Sure. It's going to be funny. A lot of people will be deleting tweets very soon. And Crypto Banter, I have to say this because he managed to do something quite amazing, which is he managed to make a video saying people should sell in May. And a couple of days later made a video today of why you shouldn't sell in May. So basically, he already gave you the two scenarios. Sell in May, don't sell in May. Probably delete the one that's going to be wrong and say, as we were talking here in the channel, we said we shouldn't have sold in May, blah, blah, blah. So this is the things you're going to start seeing more often by crypto YouTubers, influencers, and Twitter people, which is deleting stuff, predicting both sides of the same coin. Basically, I'm going to throw this coin into the air. It's going to be either heads or tails. That's my prediction. And then remove the video making the wrong prediction. And with that, trying to convince you to become a member, pay this, pay that, join the Discord, buy the course, whatever. And with that, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the weekend. It's nice spring. I don't know where you are, but the weather is great over here. Enjoy. I am planning to do some live streams over the next couple of weeks. The wife and the daughter will be going out traveling, but I can't. I have to work. So I also have a little bit more availability, so I'll try to pencil in a couple of live streams here and there so you guys can come, insult me in the live, tell me how an idiot I am, and harass me in the comment section. As you guys know, I always appreciate that. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.